Before we get started, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment for us, um, and hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content here. We are smack dab in the middle of Joker Year One within the Batman title. This is part two. Um,
There's only
uh,
three.
there's only three parts, so
Okay.
exactly. So there's one more after this this coming week because they're doing it weekly, um, and lots of stuff came out this week. It was a jam-packed story again switches, moves through timelines as just as the first part did. Um, but yeah, we get a lot of revelations come up in this particular issue.
We do.
Yeah. So we start in the future. Again, with a splash page, the first page by Andrea Sorrentino, not really splash page because it's not the whole thing, but the first page. It is basically Batman still trying to do an autopsy on one of the people that was Jokerized. And so what he does is he's doing some things. He is basically he's gotten a body from the morgue or from the college. I don't recall one of those two things to help him take a look at it, which Alfred is very happy with. He says, "Well, at least you didn't have to kill someone this time to get it." So that was nice of him to do that. We basically are told that what's happening when someone is Jokerized, what happens is basically there is something in the serum that basically just takes all of the pigmentation out of the skin. It activates it, and it basically takes all the pigmentation out, and that's why they turn white. So
Yeah. I thought that was an interesting little add-on because, like, with this whole thing we touched on, like, what are we going to do? Are we doing an origin story? Not necessarily. We're just kind of like playing with some grand ideas that have stuck around with the Joker for a while and exploring those so far. It's been better than I thought it was going to be. That's for sure.
right, and all of that. The first page is from the future, we believe, because it's when he's Jokerizing people. Because it also is mentioned here that he has Jokerized people on multiple times.
Yeah.
The second page, where we actually have the body from the morgue, is actually goes back to Batman in 0 year. We can tell that by the costume that Batman is in. So that's where he's actually working on one of those bodies from the morgue or the college or whatever. And then we jump to the Joker, who is with his friend from Batman the Knight, who is going to teach him basically to not feel fear anymore. Um, and so he is. We would then see his internal dialogue, basically talking about this man who seems to be, as good of a student, if not better, than Bruce Wayne was. And we feel as though we find out why he turned away from Bruce and to the Joker. Basically, he felt wronged by Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne actually punched him in the night.
Yeah. He said, "I made you better, and you disrespected me." So he trained him
Right,
to the point of surpassing the master, kind of thing.
right, exactly. So in trying to get back at him, he's going to go to Batman's greatest foe and see if he can now help him
Yeah. He's
to defeat the Batman.
He says that when he sees the Joker, he sees him as a man who is on the edge of perfection if he can only cure him of his one thing holding him back, which is his fear. So
Hmm.
his mission is to rid the Joker of fear so he can be an equal opposite to the Batman.
Hmm. All of this is during 0 year, like we said. Batman goes and he goes to the bar that we saw in the last issue where the fight happened. We basically see him. He is investigating. He wants to know where the Joker is. He finds the one person who is still there that may know where the Joker is or who may know how to find the Joker. He manages to give up the name. It happens to be Brian Bigling, who is number 22. He is actually number 22. So we switch to the Joker, who's going home. He says, "Hi, honey, I'm home," which is kind of funny because the honey is number
Jack Nicholson.
22. Exactly, and yeah, it's absolutely who he has tied to a chair.
Yeah, he has him. He has this one little friend who helped him in the last issue, tied and restrained. At least I took that as the Joker had him tied, but we find out quick when we turn the page that the Red Hood gang, his
Right,
old gang, has him tied, and they ambush him
right,
immediately. They
exactly.
don't say a word. They just start shooting and attempting to stab him.
Right, and they do. They stab him in the shoulder, but then Batman comes crashing through because he got the tip from the other guy at the bar. So he comes crashing through, and as he starts fighting the people from the Red Hood gang, the Joker escapes. He hightails it out of there. Batman is too busy fighting the Red Hood guys. He gets knocked onto the fire escape, and from there, basically, what happens is, as one man is choking him, number 22 comes from behind him, shoots the guy in the shoulder. He is then we just see, the number 22 and Batman facing each other after the gun has gone off.
Yeah, I
We flip,
couldn't tell if that was like him intentionally saving him in that moment,
right.
or if now he was holding Batman at gunpoint. If that was just like the image left after the body dropped, or if that was him just trying to get to Batman.
hmm we jump back to the future again. Back to the Future. I
I
think
see
like
what
a
you did
movie.
there.
Do you see what I did there? It 23.4 gigawatts, which is probably the wrong number, and someone's going to tell me because I know someone out there knows exactly how many gigawatts it was. We basically see Andrea Sorrentino's art again, and there is just part of this page, the bottom part of this page, with the Joker coming out of the water that looks. When I had to look at it like 3 or 4 times because it looked like a photo to me. It really did. But just as I was so astonished at that panel, I turned the page and then I saw this panel. This is like something out of the Sandman to me.
Mhm.
It's just that good. But we basically see, the Joker and Batman having some internal dialogue. Sorry, looking facing off against one another. Um, uh, and he basically it's a contest against one another. Batman has a gun pointed at him. The Joker says, "You can't kill me because I have bombs that are tied to my blood pressure. If it goes too high or too low, then basically the things will go off." And he
Bang.
pulls the trigger, bang, and a flag comes out, and Batman's like, "I saw the flag a long time ago. You're not going to get me with that."
Yeah.
Basically. Um, and so we basically see that the Joker is almost kind of playing with Batman. He basically is having fun, watching the Batman, watching him think through everything he has to try to get to, trying to solve everything that he's doing. And he basically says that he'll keep fighting this guy until the day that he leaves this earth, one or the other. Basically, is what he says. We jump back to 0 year again, and we're still, if you recall, in the last episode, we talked about how Jim Gordon is not Commissioner Gordon yet. He is still just a lieutenant, and he's basically talking with one of the witnesses who may be able to help him.
It's one
Uh,
of the dirty cops that are tied up with the Red Hood
right,
gang. They've got him in handcuffs, questioning him. He's not cooperating. He's just asking to lawyer up. And
mhm,
that pretty much puts old Gordo in a bind. And he walks out and tells the other dirty officer to put him in a cell. And the other officer enters the room and they're kind of talking candidly to each other about like, hey, you got to get me out of this. He's like, I can't get you out of this, but I'm gonna let you know there's a guy coming in here. He's not as fast as he used to be. Kind of like telling him to take his own out. And the next thing you know, you hear someone screaming, nobody moving. You look up, and the transport officer, the older guy that was coming in to move him, is now being held by the guy in cuffs with his own weapon, trying to work his way out of the precinct. And he takes a bullet to the head immediately by his friend that tipped him off.
right,
So he pretty much just found a way to work around and take care of the witness right there in the middle of the precinct in front of all the other cops.
right.
It was a
Which Gordon
bold move.
recognizes it for what it is right off the bat. Exactly. And so he goes and he punches the guy he punches one dirty cop who killed the other dirty cop. And
You set
basically,
him, you set him up so you could kill him.
right, exactly. And as soon as that happens, he basically says, he basically gets suspended off of the police force. So now
So
we
now we
jump
get into
to
the nitty gritty.
exactly, and we found out exactly the next like probably 4 or 5 pages or whatever, basically come through and tell a lot about what's going on in this story and what's been going on in the Batman stories for a little while now. We jump to the guy from the night, who is basically still working with the Joker. He's almost treating him like he's some sort of like a psychology type of a patient. He's trying to teach him how to channel the things that he needs, and he basically says, you know what, you can almost compartmentalize different things. You can call on the part of your psyche that you need at different times in order to work, to do the work that is needed to be done at that time. And so he's talking about that, and Joker's not sure he believes them, and then suddenly he starts to almost have a spasm. Um, and suddenly from someone he says, basically, that he's not the person he was anymore. He's not Daniel. He's now a person that's named Kar MZ. So basically, this is this guy's Zur-En-Arrh, that he has created for himself. He says he's a fragment of Daniel. He's put aside for when he needs me. He's basically the angry part of Daniel. And so he goes through and he does that, and he basically, that's how we kind of realize that, okay, you know what. Through the name, obviously, is definitely a clue, but that's what we're led to believe. I believe that this is the guy that helped Bruce Wayne create Zur-En-Arrh. And so he goes to the Joker and he's working on the Joker next, and he basically helps the Joker to create 3 different psyches. Basically, he has the clown, who is he has the demon, which is funny because that actually kind of ties into. He talks about how the demon is there forever; he's eternal. If you remember going back to Scott Snyder's and Greg Capullo's Batman in the New 52, they played with the idea that the demon and the Batman are almost eternal, and they fight throughout time. So this kind of harkens back to that a little bit as well. And then we basically just have the person that is just, is just cold death, basically. So we're told that those are the three Jokers. So basically, everything that we had before with the red mask from the different, while they still may be two at some point, we're led to believe. I think through this story that that's not who the three Jokers are. The three Jokers are this one person with 3 different psyches.
I don't know, because this is where it gets a little potentially confusing, because like we saw the 3 Jokers in the last issue at the point of his creation. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? When they did that Killing Joke scene in part 1, we saw the 3 Jokers and then battling with each other.
hmm
So I'm a little confused by that still.
But is it? So let me. Were they really there, or was that just him seeing 3 different Jokers, and he didn't have control over them?
Yeah, no,
Here,
he was probably just seeing them.
yeah, and now he's going to actually be able to get control over them, and he's going to be able to bring whichever one he wants. Whereas before, they were all there before, but he had no way to control them.
Yeah,
That's my
this was also a great scene as this guy is trying to train the Joker how to have this Zur-En-Arrh type personality. He instantly switches to it, and not just 1 but 3. And the guy training the Joker says, "For the first time in my life, I'm finally awestruck."
right.
Like how
Right.
how Joker is just naturally takes 100% of everything he's attempting to train him with. He just does it without any effort. He just does all of it.
hmm so we jump to Batman talking to Lieutenant Gordon. Basically, Batman is telling him that they won't be able to, the bad cops won't be able to escape justice. Um, and he says, how are you going to be able to do that? And he says, we'll just find a target that they can't resist. We jump into the future again. We basically see Batman playing The Walking Dead. He basically is walking through. He basically has determined that if he acts Jokerized and he has white, makeup on his face, it's almost like, if you ever seen any of the zombies things, you put the zombie stuff on on your body, and they don't come in and attack you. So he's doing that with the Joker as he's walking the Joker along to where he needs to be. And
He's also
we
determined the thing that's Jokerizing everyone is a sonic sound.
Correct. Correct. It's something that triggers, and it triggers by its laughter. Once the laughter is triggered, it's something that basically takes over the person. And And so he then leads. Batman ends up going to a place, and we find a future Catwoman, Selena Kyle, who also has figured it out because she has a patch over one of her ears that basically, so she's able to, screen out that sonic sound. But at any time, whether it's the past, whether it's the present, whether it's the future, Batman and Catwoman have to stop for a kiss. Um, so we get the kiss, and we find that basically what has happened is she has basically locked up all of the members of the Bat family that have been Jokerized. So she's keeping them safe. She says, but as soon as she says that, from behind comes a Joker who tears off the thing from her ear. And so now she's basically becoming Jokerized as well. And the Joker presses the button, opens up the prison, and we see, the members of the Bat family, laughing, moving towards the Joker. Jump back to year one, and the Joker is talking to his mentor. He basically has a knife. They're talking about exactly what's going on. He basically says that he treats his mentor as though he was his father, who he very conveniently says, "Oh, by the way, did I tell you I really hated my father?" And so he goes and he attacks. He attacks him. He stabs him. We get the internal dialogue from his mentor, who says basically, he thinks that he's probably created the best, something that's even better than Batman. He basically says the knowledge that ultimately his goal had been achieved, and that he's coming for you, Bruce, and he's perfect. And we see Joker donning a suit from his. Let me get that over there.
Yeah, he straight killed it, old buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I actually, so that's where we kick off. Like I said, we got one more issue. I actually think I understood this issue probably a lot more than the first issue, which is not surprising because the more you can get used to. I think all the time jumps in the first issue you had to kind of get used to, and it kind of some ways may have taken away from some of the stuff that actually was occurring. But I think I understood this issue more than I did the first issue, to be perfectly honest.
And there's a lot of explanation in this one to all kinds of stuff, from the pigments to Zuranod to the three personalities. There's just a
Right.
lot.
To how he jokerizes people. There really was. But I can't wait to see where we go from here. I'm really looking forward now to part 3, and
I'm interested, especially to see if the future story that we're getting in it. I'm very interested to see if that's going to be like a Death of Joker story.
Oh, yeah, very well could be. But yeah, I mean, I think this we talked about this last time too. I think it will be even better when you can read it probably in one sitting, than maybe the different parts. But it certainly is much better trying to read it weekly than it would be to try to read it monthly, because there's just so much going on and so many time jumps to try to figure out what's going on from where. It'll be very easy to lose that, having to wait a full 30 days before you can get into the next part. So
I like when they do these little events, like even if this is just a 3-issue event, or how we covered Night Terrors and the most recent Beast World. I'm enjoying these faster paced events.
Yep. How did you like it, Finn?
What'd you think, Finn?
Was it good? Was it good? Did you like it?
What do you think of the Joker?
I think he's creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
And nuts. You want to see a creepy Joker?
Yes.
Oh man.
After I watched something funny-ish, creepy-ish.
What?
Already. That's creepy. Why is he in the water bleeding? There's blood in the water. That is skull?
That's his ribs and stuff.
Yeah.
He's naked.
No, he's not naked. I said Dad definitely should show the panel at this point.
That is an issue of Batman you're showing him, right?
Definitely.
He looks naked to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because he doesn't have his clothes on.
He doesn't have his shirt on.
Right.
He only has his little red coat.
He had the robe on.
He's
Yeah.
used to seeing you dressed up in the
Must
purple
have
suit and
got up.
everything. And
Must have woke up. Thank you.
all right, good stuff though, right?
Yes.
All right, but that's going to be it for this episode of DC Comics Deep
Oh,
Dive. I'm Paul. He is Finn and Mark.
Legion?
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And
Is that
we're
what
now
I-
leaving sector 2815.